Hello everyone. I wanted to do a quick review today of a saber that I just got in the mail. This is the Avispa saber, which as I understand it translates to wasp. It is a saber from a saber company in Singapore called Kit Sabers. The sabersmith is Kit Wu. So I thought I would give a moment just to go over some of the features of this. These are usually only offered in limited runs, but since they do come up from time to time, I thought it might be of interest to people to see what they'd be getting if they're interested in pursuing this. The saber itself is a really nice design. It's clearly inspired by a fencing saber or fencing concepts. You see that it has a ring guard at the top and a finger guard here. There's a cross guard on it as well. It has two claws. These claws are from Saber Forge. The hilt itself is a solid piece, claws accepting. The cross guard is welded to it. There is a screw-off cap down here where you access the electronics and remove the battery for charging. When the pommel cap is screwed back on, it actually fits really nice and flush, so it's hard to see if there's a seam there at all, which is a very nice design feature. This one has a leather wrap, and this is the classic or original model. These things have been through a couple of different iterations, so I figured I would show them in that regard. This is an RGB stunt setup. It does not have sound. He does offer them with sound, but the RGB color switching was more important to me, so I opted for that in the interest of time, cost, and space. So I can control the red, green, blue, or mixed colors. Alright, you notice that the AV switches lit up when I did that. They illuminated in violet, I believe. Pretty bright saber. It's using a tri-cree. There were a couple of concerns when I posted product shots of this about whether or not the on-the-fly color switching would be a problem during dueling. You notice that I had to activate them with my fingertip. I can activate them with the pad of my finger, but I have to push really hard in order to actually get them to latch. While dueling, if you ride with your fingers directly on the buttons, there is a chance that you would actually trigger that. But if your fingers are past the buttons, you have to squeeze really hard before you're actually even going to see a flash. And then it's not enough to make it actually latch down. So if you really are gripping this thing very tightly in just the wrong way during dueling, you might get a flash, but it's not actually going to change the color on you. So that is actually a pretty nice feature. You notice that this is a left-hander. So I mentioned that there were different iterations. This was the classic model. This is his most recent model. This one has a faux leather dragon skin wrap here and the same RGB setup. The difference between the two, this one is a little bit slimmer on the whole. You'll notice that mine is darker. This is a dark nickel plating that I asked him to put on here. I was originally looking for black anodized, but that was not doable because of the different material between the hilt and the crossguard. He couldn't anodize it, so we did a nickel plate instead. So like I said, the newer models are a slight bit slimmer. The other usual design feature is that the newer models have this secondary shroud that fits over the top there and the claws screw into it. In this particular saber, since he was nickel plating it, that added a little bit of width to it, and the shroud ended up not fitting. I asked him if he could include it anyways, and he did. I'm glad that he did, because this is actually the same internal diameter as the external diameter of some of my Saber Forge and my Kyber lightsabers, so I can just slip this shroud on other sabers that I own. The nickel plating looks really good on this. I'm a big fan of this one. This one, I let my wife choose between the two, which one she would like, and of course she chose this one, so this is hers. But slightly slimmer, but pretty much the same design with the exception of the secondary shroud. So that's the Avispa saber from Kit Sabers. It takes quite a while to get them, and you got to catch them at the right time, but it's a very solid saber. My only problem with this design-wise is that the single set screw that it has right here, for the classic model, because it's a little bit thicker, it's not too big of an issue. You don't have really a lot of wobble. But if you have a heavy grade blade in it, as I do right now, this is a Saber Forge Infinity blade, this one's not bad. But this one, if I don't tighten the screw down really, really hard, I end up with a fair bit of wobble in the blade. So it's just something to look out for. Other than that, very solid saber, very nice design, stunning to look at. He offers these with and without sheaths. I chose to have mine shipped without a sheath and without a blade to save on shipping costs, which gets a little bit prohibitive. But he does do a sheath, and if you get that, I think he said it was an extra $20 and then quite a bit more to add to shipping. But he wraps the sheath with a similar wrap to what he wrapped the pommel or the handle with, the hilt. But at any rate, that's the Avispa. Hopefully this review has been of use to you. Thank you.